Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be talking about ways to heal from emotional incest, dependent personality, as well as family enmeshment. So I've talked about all three of those topics over the past few weeks, and we have not only explored these topics, but we've kind of delved into the deep part of the topic, right? So, enmeshment, we've been talking about, basically how unhealthy that is and, how ingrained patterns of behavior becomes intergenerational trauma over time. We also talked about emotional incest and basically its connection to a very unhealthy and inappropriate relationship between the child and the parent. And we also talked about dependent personality and how that kind of gets you stuck in your world and kind of gets you stuck in a place where you can't heal from trauma. So in today's video, I'm going to give you some very practical tips on how to heal. And, these are basically the steps that I take in counseling when I meet with someone for psychotherapy. So let's go ahead and just jump in. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed and participating, and for those who are new, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you can stick around with us and become a part of our community. And really briefly, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Tamara, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist, but I'm also licensed in mental health, and I specialize within my practice in treating children, teens, families, as well as adults. Let's jump in. So, escaping from a very traumatic and unhealthy situation is one of the most difficult things that you can do in your world. And here's why it's difficult. One, you basically have to shed all of your preconceived notions about the individual that you're trying to escape from. What I mean by that is you have to shed off from yourself all the positive and emotionally stable concepts that you've had about this person, or perceptions, I should say, and then you have to replace it with the reality of who that person actually is. So an example of this may be, let's say you're in a romantic relationship with someone who is psychologically abusive. There's emotional enmeshment between he and his mother, or he and his family as a whole, or she, if you're dating a woman, for those guys out there. Also, you may find, this particular situation in the extended part of your family where there's an uncle perhaps who is too close to his daughter, and you witness emotional enmeshment there. And you may also witness some emotional incest as well. Whatever the case, this is how the process usually goes. You have a view of that person in a positive way, whoever that person is, to you. And as you begin to stay around that person and take steps with them, you begin to unravel and maybe uncover some parts of them that you didn't know was there. And now you're disappointed. Now you feel depressed. Now you feel anxious. Now you feel hurt because what you thought is not all there is to the puzzle, or what you thought doesn't exist at all, right? You were just simply deceived. And so now you have to move that view of that person out of the way. You have to shut it off, and then you have to take on a new perception of that person and new concepts. And that can be really intimidating. It's really intimidating because the person that you thought was there is now no longer. And so how do you conceptualize how to interact with this person, or how do you conceptualize getting away from this person altogether because they're not who you thought? So, escaping from an individual can be really difficult, because again, you have to shut off those ideas and those emotions that you had about the person originally and kind of pull into your frame of reference, or into your worldview, I should say, who they really are. And that is really painful. This happens a lot in relationships where there's a narcissist. The person came across as really stable and really sweet and really open and engaging. And yet when you got to know them, they became more abusive, more domestically violent, more controlling, manipulative. And now, you're at a place where you don't know what to think, right? Because you thought you saw that person really good. And unfortunately, You did not. You missed some things, or that person's just very skilled at hiding the truth of who they are. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at escaping from a person who's unhealthy for you. But I want to give you kind of like an ABC process that I take my clients through, and a lot of psychotherapists who are utilizing the cognitive behavior model, which is basically, here's a definition of CBT. And the way I like to explain it to my clients and those who consult with me is that, you're taking your possibly skewed perceptions of reality, and you're trying to align them more closely with the truth. You're trying to take those thoughts that are negative, take those thoughts that are harmful that you have or that may be imbalanced, and you're trying to bring it back into balance with reality so that you can really see the situation for what it is. You definitely want to learn about the CBT model if you're going to pursue psychotherapy. So let me take you through a few steps that I use and some other CBT therapists when it comes to escaping from unhealthy people. Okay, so here's my process. The first thing that I often suggest if you want to escape from or heal from these detrimental people in your world is awareness. You can't make one step forward if you're unaware. It's really difficult to manage your reality when you are blind, when you can't see what is going on. Not literally blind, but emotionally blind. You can't see what's going on. You can't put two and two together. You can't make heads or tails of anything if you are blind. So awareness is the number one step to healing and escaping. Once you gain that proper awareness, you can then move forward with a positive, balanced, structured, and stable approach and vision for your future. Do you see what I'm saying? It's really difficult, guys, to move forward and be balanced and focused when you're working with a shaky foundation. You're going to slip through the cracks. So what you want to do is gain that awareness. You may be asking, how do I gain that awareness? Well, you want to be open to other people's views of your situation, other people's knowledge about situations that are very similar to yours. What we as humans tend to do, and this is something I'm guilty of as well, we tend to say, that was them, this is me. It's a possibility that it could be very different from me, or there's a possibility that my situation is better because her situation turned out this way, or she or he went about it that way. Or, they didn't have this kind of foundation like I have. And so you kind of remove yourself from another person's view of things or another person's experience because you want what you want. You want to stay where you're at, or, you don't want to see anything bad in the situation. So what do? You make your situation appear better or not the same as the other person's. That's a huge mistake because, the same horse can come along, but sometimes they look different. The same horse my grandmother used to say that all the time, the same horse can come along even though they may look different. Basically what that means, guys, is that the situation can come along and look very different, but be the very same thing that you thought you didn't have or that the other person had that wasn't healthy. Okay, so somebody can come along, look different, act different, be different. The situation can be different, but at the core, it's the same exact thing. Okay? Awareness. That's basically what I'm talking about here. Awareness. The second thing that I try to teach my clients when they come in is empowerment and strength. Now, the first way that I deal with building empowerment and strength is building off of awareness. So once they gain that awareness and they begin to see things for what it really is, now I want to empower them. Now I want them to think of the various ways that they can build on their awareness. Do you need to move out? Do you need to buy your own home? Do you need to see yourself moving forward independently? Do you need to get some distance between the two of you so you can think about your future? Do you need to save some money? Do you need to get a better job? Do you need to quit your job? Do you need to stop having children with this person until you're sure? Do you need to put some distance between you and your family member and not answer their calls and text messages all the time? Do you need to set firmer boundaries? All of those things, guys, has a way of empowering you. Why? Because it's giving you the free will and it's giving you the space emotionally and psychologically to make those decisions on your own. You're not being told what to do, and your therapist You know, if you see me as your therapist, or, you know, for my clients and those who consult with me, I don't tell them what to do. I make suggestions. I flip things as many times as I can, like a Rubik's Cube, to see if I can get you to see things from a variety of ways. Okay, guys, so the next thing that I want you to think about in, you know, trying to escape from or heal from, you know, very, very unhealthy people in your world, primarily your family, is getting psychotherapy or spiritual guidance. Now, this is another step that I take with my clients or those who consult with me. It's important to understand the role that you have played, who you are, and who that other person is. And the only way to work with that is to get into psychotherapy or some kind of spiritual guidance. You need some help in trying to understand the role that you have played and the role that the other person has played. Now, sometimes you can figure that out on your own. Other times you're just coming to conclusions that may or may not be true. And that can really take a lot of time. It can take a lot of energy. So it's not even worth it. So sometimes it's best to just get into psychotherapy or find some spiritual guidance, right? A pastor, a bishop, a spiritual, somebody who has spiritual knowledge and can really process things outside of this busy world that we're in. So I think psychotherapy and spiritual guidance is utopia. It's so important, you know? So that's the next thing. So the next thing that I want you guys to think about, and this is another step that I take with my clients, is healing and consolidation. So once you get into psychotherapy or you find the spiritual healing that you need, the next step is actual healing of the wounds and consolidation. Healing of the wounds is, how do I make myself move forward despite the pain that I'm feeling? What steps do I need to take? What's the ABC 1, 2, 3 steps that I need to take to actually make some progress here, to feel better, to heal, to move forward? Consolidation is, for me, the process of taking the past situation with this individual, with this family, whatever, and bringing it into your present and consolidating with your present. So not pushing it down, not denying it, not putting up defense mechanisms, but embracing what has happened back here and bringing it into the future so that you can build on it, right? That's what I consider consolidation. The process of consolidating the past with the now. And it's a good way to heal, because you don't want to minimize is the word I'm looking for. You don't want to deny it or push it away. You want to be able to approach it in a healthy fashion, grow from it, and move forward. That's consolidation. Okay. The next stage, guys, is taking a future-oriented mindset and setting some goals. So setting some concrete goals. How do I get from point A to point B to point C? And once I get to C, what's my next couple of steps I need to take, right? So you want to be able to set that up for yourself. Having a futuristic mindset or future-oriented mindset is important, because if you're thinking so much about the now, you can get stuck and begin to feel imprisoned by your current emotions, by your current thoughts. So you don't want to get stuck there. If you're thinking about the past, there's no way for you to see your future because you're so blinded looking in the rearview mirror. So you want to be able to look ahead. And so a future-oriented mindset is the step to take. That's what you want. And you can usually achieve this with a psychotherapist. The next thing is maintenance of everything that you have learned. So, here's the steps that you have taken so far. I'm going to put them right over here so you can keep up and maybe even list them for yourself. Now what you need is maintenance, therapy. How do I maintain this progress that I have? Well, you need a therapist that's going to say, or be able to help you see, okay, you can't go back on your word. You can't move that barrier. You can't move that boundary. You can't speak to that person. You can't show vulnerability. You can't do that, right? So you need a therapist who has delved into this situation with you and this dynamic that's been created between you and someone else or you and your family, and say, here's where the ruts are and the holes, and you're going to have to avoid that in order to heal, Okay, so that's maintenance. You want to be able to maintain the strength and the empowerment and the progress that you have made. The next thing is resolution of previous emotions. So once you have kind of healed, you've consolidated the past with the present, and you have maintained stability over time. Now you want resolution of your emotions. So journaling is really good for this, right? Journaling how far you have come away from the situation. Talking to a psychotherapist who has walked you through a variety of stages and now you feel like it's time to set new goals. Being able to spiritually document with a pastor or somebody who's knowledgeable, being able to document your progress thus far and then help you take more steps, right? So you want to be able to have a resolution period where you go back and say, okay, I want to resolve this emotion. I want to resolve this thought. This is not necessarily healing. Okay, it's a little bit different than healing. I think resolution of previous emotions basically is post-traumatic growth. And I talk about that right up here in this video. And basically what you're saying is, I need to be able to resolve these unresolved emotions. I feel like I'm healing every day, but I still need to resolve this emotion, that emotion. Okay, so the resolution period for me in psychotherapy with my clients or with people who consult with me is just being able to resolve those emotions that feel unresolved. Okay, it's kind of like cleaning up the edges of a situation, right? Or cleaning what's left over. The next thing is report to authorities. Now, this is for emotional incest, sexual or physical incest, and abuse. Now, once you have come through the process of healing, resolution, maintenance, building insight, going to psychotherapy, feeling empowered and feeling strong, your final duty or your final responsibility may be to report. So let's say you were sexually abused. Let's say you were physically abused, emotionally abused. Let's say you were neglected. Let's say there was incest in your family. You want to be able to determine, do I need to report this to authorities? And if so, what's that going to mean for me? Does that mean the case is going to come out and my family is going to disown me? Does that mean that I'm going to report this and charges never get pressed? Or I'm going to report this to authorities and nothing ever gets done, right? So you want to be able to manage your thoughts and your emotions about this first before you do anything. And if I'm dealing with a case within my office, involving sexual abuse, for example, I work with the client to empower them, to help them get to a place where they can report, and then I walk them through the steps and what can happen after the report. So you want to be able to have somebody who's skilled and able to walk you through that process. This is really tough, guys. This is the healing part. So, this video is extra long because, I'm talking about the healing pieces of this. So I want you to be able to feel like, okay, I have some tools from that particular series that I can use to move forward. So I encourage you to take notes, rewind this video and go back and take notes and share it with your therapist. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys, in this video. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful and hit that subscribe button and bell button so you can continue to get alerts and videos from me. I will see you in the next video. We're going to keep moving. Bye-bye.